The teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Good afternoon, Chodesh Tov V'Varach. V'shenechnes Adar Marvin B'Simcha. The Parsha of the week speaks about the Mishkan, great details about the Mishkan. But we have a problem. We say every morning, if you turn to your siddur on page 81, it's in front of, please take a siddur. We have a problem with the whole idea of the Mishkan and the Midbar. It doesn't seem to belong in the Midbar. The Shir HaTayam, Michael, that we say every day, the Shir HaTayam, by the sea, by the sea, by the song of the sea. Right, Maddie? You say it every morning on page 81? What are we saying? What are we saying on page 81? There are no numbers there, but in the middle of the page it says, you shall bring them. See, there's a star in the middle of the page. You, God, shall bring them and implant them on the mount of your heritage. What's the mount of your heritage?
Mount Zion.
Mount Zion. The foundation of your dwelling place, which you, Hashem, have established. The Migdash, my Lord, has to be where? In the mount of your heritage. That's not the Midbar Sinai. So obviously we have a problem. Why are we building the Mishkan in Midbar Sinai when we sing every morning the Shir HaTayam in your siddur, page 81, that the Migdash Hashem belongs where? Bahar Nachlascha, in Pisgat Zev. I mean on Jerusalem, not in the Midbar Sinai. That's the question on the table. The Vilna Gaon asked that question. Seems to contradict the Shir HaTayam, right? That the Migdash Hashem is Bahar Nachlascha. See that? On page 81, you shall bring them, Avi, there's an asterisk there. You shall bring them and plant them on the mount of your heritage. The sanctuary, my Lord, belongs in the mount of your heritage. That's, Moshe, you have a siddur. You say it every morning, right? Teveimu Shetei Bahar Nachlascha. Migdash Hashem, why Midbar Sinai? So the Vilna Gaon asked this question, and he says, yes, plan A was, Rabbi Raphael, that we, as soon as we leave Egypt, we come to Eretz Yisrael and build the Mishkan, the Migdash there. But once we made the golden Egel in the Midbar, God says we got to go to plan B. Now you can't wait until you get to Pisgat Zev, I mean to Rechavia. Avi, where you sin is where you win. We sinned in the Midbar with gold. So God says, take gold, which you're supposed to do, plan A, build the golden Mishkan where? Bahar Nachlascha, in Jerusalem. But once we sinned in the Midbar, so there God says, we got to go to plan B. Therefore, you can no longer wait till you get to the holy mountain. You can't wait 40 years. You're spiritually sick. And now, the Mishkan, instead of being built on Har Nachlascha, on Holy Mount Zion, now it's going to be built where? In the Sinai Desert. Because we committed the sin in the Sinai Desert. Where you sin is where you win. So that's plan B. That's the Vilna Gaon's explanation. How this, that we say every morning in the Shira, doesn't contradict. Why build the Mishkan in the Midbar? Yes, the Mishkan should have been on the Holy Mountain, plan A. But plan A, Avi, seldom works out, even for the big boss. Plan B is also good, Mickey. Plan B is also good. So therefore, we had to build the Mishkan in the Midbar because we sinned in the Midbar, and the Mishkan became a kapara for the Chet HaEgel. We sinned with gold. God says, you sinned with gold in the Midbar, now take gold in the Midbar and do it my way. Okay, now, the Parsha is Shabbos Chazak. Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. We finished with the Mishkan. And there's a strange pasuk at the end in Parshas Pekudei. Ki anan Hashem ala Mishkan yomam, ve'esh tia laila, le'nei kol beis Yisrael b'chol masayim. This at the end is Exodus 40, verse 38, the very last pasuk in the book of Exodus. The very last pasuk. Is it possible to get the books? Is it possible? Thank you. Thank you. It's in the library. It's important to look inside. Exodus 40, verse 38. The very last pasuk, the way the book ends. It says, the cloud of glory of Hashem was on Mishkan by day, and the fire was Mishkan at night, in the eyes of the whole house of Israel when they traveled. Rashi said, is that true? when they traveled was the cloud of God on the Mishkan Refoil? When they traveled, follow that cloud. Rashi says he doesn't understand the verse. Help. The cloud of God was not on the Mishkan when they traveled. The cloud was only when what? When the Mishkan came to rest, then the cloud of God was on it. Otherwise, when they were traveling, follow that cloud. So that's Rashi's question. So Rashi says something amazing. Rashi says that even when you're resting, it's called a travel. So even though the cloud of God was not on the Mishkan when they traveled, the cloud of God was only on the Mishkan when? When the Mishkan was at rest. So how come it says that the cloud of God was on the Mishkan even when they traveled? So Rashi says, you know what? Rashi says that even when you're camping and you're resting, right, is also called what? Travel.
Why?
Why? Rashi says even when you're resting, you still consider traveling. In other words, Avram Berkowitz, who you always, where is he? Is he here? Avraham, you always say, keep on moving up. Thank you, Avi. If you take a look, the last, it's Pekudei to look inside. Thank you very much, Avi. The very last verse in the Parshat. Do you mind taking the book? Exodus 40, verse 38. The very last verse in the book of Exodus. We finished the book this Shabbos. It's called Shabbos Chazak. So Rashi makes an amazing statement. What does Rashi mean? Rashi means that a person can never rest on his laurels. You hear that? That even when you are resting, you still have to what? Onwards and upwards.
Up or down?
Right? You can't, a human being doesn't, how do they read that? I mean, want to read that last verse slowly?
For the cloud of Hashem would be on the tabernacle by day, and fire would be on it at night before the eyes of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys.
But that wasn't so. The cloud wasn't when they were journeying. The cloud was only on the station. So Rashi says that a Jewish person, even when he's resting, has to continue, Moshe, onwards and upwards. What a powerful Rashi, such a profound, that's how Rashi closes the book, that a Jew is never on downtime, Avi. Even when you're taking a cruise, you're taking a vacation, you have to progress spiritually. You can't take vacation from spiritual growth. So the book ends, Bereshis, the first book, begins with God creating a world and a home for us. What's the world and a home for us? The universe. Shemos ends with us creating a home for him. Mickey, we returned a favor. Sefer Bereshis, Genesis, begins with God creating a home for us. What's the home for us? The world. Sefer Bereshis, Sefer Shemot, ends with us creating a home for God. V'oseli migdash, v'shechanti b'tocham. So Bereshis, God creates a home for us, the world. In Shemos, God says, create a home for me, that I should dwell among you. V'oseli migdash, v'shechanti b'tocham. So the Mishkan is the model of the universe. God created the universe. We create a model of the universe. And the Barbanel points out that everything you have in the world, you have in the Mishkan. What do you have in the world? You have the sun. That's represented by what? The menorah. The world, you have a food supply, food chain. That's the shulchan. In the world, you have oceans. That's represented by what? The kior, the wash basin. The globe is Adama. Therefore, we had to build Mizbach Adama. Mizbach Adama represents what? Mother Earth. So the Mishkan was a model of the universe. Shem created a home for us in Bereshis. In making a Mishkan, we created a home for Hashem.
God did a better job.
And every person is supposed to be a mini Mishkan. We're supposed to create a home for God. Where? Beautiful. V'shechanti, not betocho. V'shechanti, betocham. Right? God doesn't want to dwell in the building. Avi, he wants to dwell in our hearts. The Kotzker Rebbe was asked, where does God dwell? What does he answer? Where you let him in. Where you let him in. Pretty amazing, huh? So let's take a look at the Megillah. 2 weeks is Purim, right? 2 weeks is Purim. So the Megillah's in the back of the Art Scroll book, if you have one. Megillah, of all the 24 books of the Bible, Avi, it's very strange that the Megillah's Esther doesn't have God's name in it, not even once. There's no other book in the Bible that doesn't have God's name in it.
1252.
In the blue book. Now, the month of Adar, Aleph Daled Reish. What does Adar stand for? It's actually FBI or CIA. Aleph Daled Reish stands for Ein Dovar Ra. Adar looked like a very bad month for us. It looked like a month of genocide. V'nahapachu. Ein Dovar Ra. Aleph Daled Reish. But looks what? Bad, in reality is what? A hidden good. But you got to look behind the Purim mask. Got to look behind. What do you mean a hidden good? This explains something very strange, Avi. Why do you name a cookie after Arafat? Arafat cookie? A Hamantash. Abu Mamzer Danish. Why are you naming a cookie and a Danish after Hitler Arafat? I mean Haman. Isn't it strange? And in Hebrew it's called Oznei Haman. It's even stranger. In English it's called Hamantashin. And in Hebrew it's called Oznei Haman. Why? Why should we name a cookie and a Danish after Abu Mamzer?
Years of Haman?
Oznei Haman. Go into a bakery in Machne Yehuda. You say Hamantashin, they won't know what you're talking about. You say Tenli Oznei Haman.
Years of Haman.
Ears of Haman. Now what the heck?
Haman was an evil guy.
Right. So why did we name a Danish after him?
So we can remember
Why?
we are evil people.
The Gemara in Megillah says something very strange, that Haman was the founder of the BT movement. Should I repeat that?
BT.
Yeah. Avi, who was the founder of the Baal Tshuva movement, Avi? Gemara in Megillah says that it was Haman. Haman did more for the Baal Tshuva movement than all the 48 Nevi'im in Tanakh. Gemara in Megillah 14, Avi. The Nevi'im in Tanakh said, Tshuva, do Tshuva, come back where you belong. And they all said, what? Get lost. Comes along Haman with his evil decree, and all the Yidden become what? Baal Tshuva. So therefore, says Ibn Yisoschem, I also say the Moshe, V'makir toiv to Haman. We name a Danish after him, Abu Mamzer Danish. Ein Dovar Ra. Haman, in a weird, strange way, was good for the Jews. He caused all the Jews to become Baal Tshuva.
But they didn't come to Eretz.
Right, so I want to talk about that. 1 second. And therefore it's called Oznei Haman. Why is the pastry called Oznei Haman? Because of Haman we gave ear to the Torah. Haman made us listen to the Torah.
Why Oznei is not Oznei?
Oznei, if they ask Ulpan teacher, Oznei means the ears of Haman. So because Haman made us give ear, 10 ozen in Hebrew, right? To the Torah, we honor him by calling the Danish after him, and Dafka Oznei Haman. So we see that every cloud has what? A silver lining. Pretty amazing, huh? That in a strange way, Haman was good for the Jews. He caused all the Jews to do tshuva. So if that's the case, why didn't Mashiach come? They all became BTs. So Mickey gave the answer, but they remained in Babylon, Long Island. I mean in Paras. Right? They all became frum, but they didn't make Aliyah. So therefore Mashiach couldn't come. Right? And perhaps that's why God is MIA in the Megillah. Why is God missing in action in the Megillah? There are many reasons, but I want to give you one reason. If you look in the Megillah, chapter 2, verse 7. In the Megillah, chapter 2, verse 7, it says that Mordechai raised Esther Hadassah. She had 2 names. Maybe the hospital's named after her. Chapter 2, verse 7. You want to read that, Yosef? Chapter 2, 7?
And he had reared Hadassah. That
Who's he? Mordechai. What reared her? He raised her. Go ahead. Hadassah.
Esther, his uncle's daughter, since she had neither father nor mother. The girl was finally featured and beautiful, and when her father and mother had died, Mordechai adopted her as his daughter.
Mordechai adopted her as his daughter. The Talmud in the Megillah 14 says that's not so. Say it ain't so, Chanoch. Say it ain't so. Who said that? Aram. The Gemara Megillah says, Al tikra bat el bayit. Bayit means a person's home. What's a person's home? His better half. So the Marsha asked the question, if that's the case, so why does it say he took her as a daughter? When he really didn't take her as a daughter, when he took her as a wife. So if you want to say that, why play a game and write what? Bat. They took her as a daughter and actually took her as a wife. Why not write Meferish? It's not true. He didn't take her as a daughter. We have an oral Torah, Avram. Tradition. Al tikra bat. Don't read the word daughter, even though it says so. But it means bayit. A person's home is his what? His wife. Megillah 14.
To spare her the shame of being...
So the Marsha asked the question, so what are you playing games for, Avram? What are you playing games for? Why are you telling an untruth? So Marsha says, the Megillah was written when Stalin was still alive. Achashverosh was still alive, right? And Mordechai and Esther were afraid that if you'd read the Megillah, that his queen is married to what? To Mordechai. It's a big busha for the paranoid king. He'd make Mordechai and Esther a head shorter. So therefore they covered up the fact that what, Avram? That what? That they're married. So they had to write something that's not true. Otherwise they'd be dead meat. Michael. He was very paranoid. I mean, Stalin, Achashverosh, right? So they were afraid. It was written when he was alive. He didn't know. So therefore they wrote something which is not true. So my humble opinion, we know what's God's John Hancock. Chesama shal Kodesh Baruch Hu emet. So since this is something that's not true, then God says, I'm out of here. Moshe, this is my Chiddush. Take it or leave it. Since God's John Hancock, Avram, is what? Truth. Chesama shal Kodesh Baruch Hu emet. Gemara in Brachas says that. So God says, I can't stick around here. It's not true. He didn't take her as a daughter. He took her as what? Nebuch, they had to say it's untruth because what? What's the greatest mitzvah, David? Staying alive, staying alive. They'd write the truth, they'd be dead. Marshall says this. So therefore, they had to lie to save their lives. But God says, I can't stick around here. So this is my opinion, Moshe. Take it or leave it. This is my humble opinion of why God's name is what? Not in the Megillah.
What about Abraham and Yitzhak when they claimed that she was a sister?
Okay.
She was a sister.
Okay, so you don't have God's name there either in the story. You don't have God's name in the story there either. Good point.
Okay,
right, you're right. When it comes to staying alive, you're supposed to lie. You're supposed to lie. Because the Pekuach Nefesh is Doicha Kol Torah Kula. But still, God cannot stick around when there's something not true. This is my explanation. Of course, there's 69 others. And Belinay, the next Sunday we'll talk about the other 69, Maddie. It's a cliffhanger, you have to come back. I'm giving you one now, there's 69 others of why Megillat Esther is the only book in the Bible that doesn't have God's name. But this is one explanation that I think is true.
Did he give her a get?
He didn't give her a get. That's the whole problem. He didn't give her a get. Tosfos in Megillah 15 asks, why didn't he give her a get? So Tosfos says, when you give a lady a get, there has to be a call. There has to be, how do you say call in English? Publicity. Again, it would come back, you married to my queen, you dirty Jew? So again, he was afraid, and therefore the whole thing was covered up because he was afraid that the king was going to kill him.
Was God present with Avram and Sarah?
Was God present?
And Avram said he was a sister.
Well, that's what Yosef had. You look in the text, it doesn't say God's name there either. Check it out. Check it out. Good point. They had to lie, because staying alive is a great mitzvah, but again, you won't find God's name either when Abraham told the untruth. Thank you for pointing that out.
Adultery if she's forced to do it, right?
But look, he would be dead. The king would kill Abraham. Wouldn't Pharaoh kill him if he knew the truth? Yeah. But current events in the Megillah. Come on, I hope you had a Megillah. Chaval, we don't have a Megillah. Current events in the Megillah, right? We have? Oh, good. Okay, not everybody has one. Current events in the Megillah. Let's take a look. Chapter 2, Pasuk 5 and 6. You can read it slowly, Avram. Very slowly and loud.
There was a Jewish man in Shushan, the capital, whose name was Mordechai, son of Yair, son of Shimi, son of Kish, a Benjaminite.
Okay, 6.
Who had been exiled from Jerusalem, along with the exiles who had been exiled with Yehoniah's
the king of Judah,
whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had exiled.
The Vilna Gaon says there are no extra words in Tanakh, Raphael. How many times is the word exile written in Pasuk 6? 1, Avram, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2.
The words in Pasuk 6 are counting what?
The word exile, Hagla, Gola, Haglasa, Hegla. How many times?
3, 4.
4 times. I mean, well, what's it all about? I get the picture. The Jews were in exile. So why does the Pasuk keep repeating that the Jews were in exile? Because they forgot, Avi, they got too comfy in Borough Park. I mean in Lakewood. I mean in Babylon, Long Island. They got too comfy. So Mordechai said, hello, you guys are in exile. I said, you guys are in exile. I said, you guys are in exile. You better wake up before it's too late. Current events in the Bible. It's amazing, Raphael. The Jews in America, they forget they're in exile. We need a Mordechai to remind them we're in exile. Yes, we're in exile, even in Babylon, Long Island, and even in Lakewood, we're in exile. They don't want us in Borough Park either. It's incredible how from 2,400 years ago, Michael, it's amazing current events.
Happens again and again.
Over and over again, he keeps saying Gola, Hagla, Hegla. Vilna Gaon says this. Mordechai kept reminding them, guys, don't get too comfy. We're in exile. Wow. And it's happening all over again, Avram. It's happening all over again. The Jews are forgetting, right?
In America.
In America and in the, right? They think, right? 2 congresswomen openly anti-Semitic, 2 Congress, not one. Spewing anti-Semitic hatred, and then nothing. And Nancy Pelosi, she hugs her. The Speaker of the House, what's her name? And Bernie Sanders. These self-hating Jews embrace them. It's sick. We need a Mordechai to wake us up. Wow. Right. Now I'll give you another reason why God's name ain't in the Megillah. Because the Jews didn't belong here. 50 years before Haman, Koresh had given the Jews permission to what? You read Divrei Hayom and Ezra. 50 years before Haman, Maddie, Cyrus had said, Jews, like Donald Trump, come home. I'll give you the embassy in Jerusalem. But they remained behind, Raphael. They remained behind. So 50 years later, God said, hello, you still here? Haman. So perhaps that's another reason why God's name is not mentioned in the Megillah. Megillat Esther, which means the scroll of Esther, but on a deeper level, it means legalot et Hester, to reveal the one who's hidden. Who's hidden in the book, Avram? Who's hidden? Hashem. Esther hides her identity, and God hides his identity. And our mission in life, Avram, is to remove the masquerade. God is everywhere, but he's hiding behind the mask. What's the mask called? Hateva. Nature. Hateva in Hebrew is Gematria Elokim. Kawinky dinky? Hateva, nature, is Gematria Elokim. God wears the mask of nature. And our tafkid is what? Don't be fooled by the mask. What you see is not what you get. You got to look behind the mask. So Purim, we're wearing a mask, and God is hiding behind the mask of nature. And our tafkid in life is to find him, and not to be fooled by what? By the mask, the masquerade. Rabbi. 1 second, Michael. You hear what's going on over here? That's our mission in life. But why does God wear a mask? He's playing peekaboo with us. You ever play peekaboo with your kid? Yeah. Or hide and seek? God is playing peekaboo with us and hide and seek. The Balatanya saw a little boy crying. You hear this, Sarah? So he says, Hingel, was weinste? How do you say that in English? Little boy, why are you crying? He says, I'm playing hide and seek with my friends, but nobody's looking for me. Aww. So the Balatanya begins to cry. He says, imagine how God feels. He's hiding and who's looking for him? Baal Tanya begins to cry. How do you think God feels? God hides behind the mask of Ateva. But why does he do that? Chanoch, why? Because if God would reveal himself in his full glory, we'd all be robots. We'd have no free will. We'd all be puppets. In order to allow free will to play out, God has to hide behind the mask of nature to give us the opportunity to what? To look for him. To exercise our free will. Because he'd take off the mask, we'd all be puppets. God doesn't want puppets. What does he want? Partners. So to be his partner, he has to play the game with us. But b'yoyim hahu, yi Hashem echad l'shmo echad. When Mashiach comes, God will remove the mask. The game will be up. The jig will be up. Right? B'yoyim hahu, yi Hashem echad. Now he's not one? What does Zechariah mean? Now he's one, but who can see his oneness? Because he's wearing the mask in order to allow my free will to what? To operate. That I should become his partner, Avram, and not his puppet. Megillat Esther, legalot et Hester. That's pretty amazing. Now, the way they're talking in Iran today, 2,400 years ago, same address. Then he was called Ayatollah Haman, and now he's called Ayatollah Khomeini. But the same language. 2,400 years later, Raphael, same address, Gwinky Dinky. They're talking the same game. The same game they're talking, right? And Esther is the one that saved us. And Esther comes from Shevet Binyamin. And we have a Binyamin Netanyahu. Binyamin Gwinky Dinky. Esther, who saved us, came from Shevet Binyamin. And Mordechai came from Shevet Binyamin. And now we have Binyamin Netanyahu, who woke up the world to identify the genocide that they're having the bomb. Remember Bibi in the UN? He had a picture of a bomb there. They were laughing at him. But he was like the Mordechai and the Esther of his time. Benjamin Netanyahu woke up that Iran is planning to exterminate the Jewish people. The way they talk. They said Haman was also a madman. They said Hitler was a madman, but it's not so.
He wasn't?
Was he a madman? I think he was very rational. I don't think he was mad.
He's a genius.
He was an evil genius.
And that's not a man.
Incredible organizations.
And perhaps that's why we don't say Hallel on Purim. Why not? It's a great miracle like Hanukkah. Why don't you say Hallel? Because the Jews had no business remaining in Persia after Cyrus Vance, 50 years early, had given us permission to come home. So therefore, the Purim miracle is deficient. The Jews didn't belong in Persia. And God had to send a Haman to wake us up. Like he's sending worldwide, Maddie, worldwide anti-Semitism. It's totally insane. All of a sudden, from Maine to California, from all over Belgium and Europe, what's happening? Why is it happening now? I'm glad you asked, Michael. The Vilna Gaon told us that Mashiach cannot come unless the Jews of Chutz La'aretz make Aliyah. And since Mashiach has to come very soon, Rav Chaim Kanevsky said Mashiach is coming very soon, but we have a catch-22. He can't come unless what? The Jews come home. Vilna Gaon said. So God is orchestrating, don't you see, Raphael, this worldwide anti-Semitism, which is totally irrational now, in order for the Jews to come home. Because if the Jews don't come home, Mashiach cannot come.
It's getting close to the States.
But you see, it's totally insane.
Rents are going up.
Right? To elect 2 U.S. congressmen that are openly anti-Semitic. Three. You don't see the Yad Hashem, you got to be blind, David. You got to be blind. It's God's game plan, Moshe, you don't think? To get the Jews even from Lakewood to come home. Because the Vilna Gaon said Mashiach cannot come unless the Jews of Chutz La'aretz come home first.
Kanevsky said
Chaim Kanevsky said he's coming before Pesach.
before the election.
That's what he said. It's all over the internet, right?
I don't know.
He said that, right? What?
You better hurry up.
Right, pretty interesting, right?
Pretty funny, you're like, oh.
Bahalavai, right?
Had the internet.
Right?
Drop everything.
How we come here for the news?
And the left is trying to destroy Binyamin.
Yeah.
Blue and white.
Now, why do women always get the last word, Sarah? Why do women always get the last word?
Because they can.
Well, they were created last, right? Achron, chaviv, right? I'm not joking. The Or HaChaim HaKodesh says this. Don't laugh at me, David. The Or HaChaim asks, why was a woman created after man? Moshe, why was woman created last? Says the Or HaChaim HaKodesh. So says the Or HaChaim HaKodesh, because God wanted the man to open up his mouth. If woman were created first, he wouldn't have a chance to open up his mouth. So Hashem, the Or HaChaim says this. Look in the Yiddish Madi. So Hashem had Rachmanis on the man, and he created what? The man first, so he could open up his mouth, and then the lady, because if she came first, forget about it. The husband wouldn't have a chance to open his mouth. Or HaChaim HaKodesh, David.
Puts his foot down.
Right?
My daughter says that.
Therefore, 1 second. Therefore, a chassan under the chuppah breaks the glass. Why not the kala? Because it's the last time he get a chance to put his foot down. Get it? So therefore, he breaks the glass, not her. Right? Right? Yael.
My daughter.
Last chance. Get it? Yeah.
My daughter. I asked my daughter the question. She said, because God had a better idea.
Or achron chaviv, saving the best for last. Therefore, Vini's table comes at the end of the meal, right, Maddie? Not at the beginning. So that's why women make bracha shasani kirtzono. Women are more godlike. They're closer to Hashem. So the word neshama, the word shechina, the word Torah, the word mitzvah is all feminine. Avi, kumiki dinki. Right? The shechina, neshama, it's all Torah, it's all feminine. Women are much more like God, and therefore saving the best for last. So a lady was last.
And how do you feel when you meet God and she's a woman?
We just said that, right? God is both, the absolute unity. But how do we know that a woman gets the last word? Avram, you have the book in front of you, right?
Yeah.
You have the book in front of you. Chapter 9, verse 29. In Megillat Esther. 9:29. 9:29. The first 4 words in the verse.
Then Queen Esther, daughter of Abihail,
Wrote, Vatichtov Esther Hamalka. Queen Esther wrote the Megillah. There's a giant tuf there. There's a giant tuf in the word Vatichtov. She wrote. Why is there a giant tuf? So the Talmud says, Avram, what's the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet? Tuf.
Oh, last word.
So just like a tuf is the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, the book of Esther is the last book in the Bible. So Vatichtov Esther, a giant tuf, that just like a tuf is the last letter of the alphabet, the book of Esther is what? The last book in the Bible. Ladies get the last word. Megillat Esther. Women get the last word, Avram. That's how the Bible is finished. Achron chaviv. Saving the best for last. That's pretty incredible. Vatichtov Esther. It's a giant tuf there. So the women get the last word. They seal, Esther seals the Bible. That's it. The canon is closed. So therefore, when the Maccabees came around about 200 years later, Chanoch, 200 years later approximately, there was a great miracle in Hanukkah. And the Maccabees said, what's wrong with my book? What, am I chopped liver? They wanted their book of Maccabees in the canon. The rabbi said, too late. Ladies have the last word. Esther finished the book. Go home. So therefore, the book of Maccabees is not part of our Bible. Pretty interesting, right? Now, people say that God's name is not in the Megillah, right? But I beg to differ. The last verse in the Megillah, Avram, saving the best for last. Ki Mordechai Yehudi, Mishtel Melech Ashverosh, Godel HaYehudim, Doresh Tov La'amoy, V'doiver Shalom L'chol Zaro, speaking peace to all of his children. We know that the word Shalom is what? Yael, it's the name of God. If you're in the mikvah with your friend Shalom, and you need a towel, can you say, hey, Shalom, give me the towel? No, you say, hey, you, give me the towel. Because Shalom is God's name. You can't mention it in a mikveh. So God's name is in the Megillah. People don't know this, Maddie. The last pasuk, V'doiver Shalom l'chol zaro, speaking peace to all of his children. Shalom is one of God's names. Aren't you glad you came today? If you go to the mikveh with your friend Shalom, you can't call him by his name in the mikveh. You have to say, hey, you. Shalom is one of God's names.
What other names?
Shalom. God has many names. One of his names is Shalom.
What other names are not to use in the mikveh?
What? All of God's names. One of them is Shalom. Kel Shaddai, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Elokeinu. Right? But one of the names is Shalom. You can't mention it. So God's name is found in the very last verse in the Megillah. V'doiver Shalom l'chol zaroi. Speaking peace. How do they say that in English? V'doiver Shalom. The last 4 words in the Megillah. Speaking peace to all of his children, right? That's what they say, Yehuda, no?
Mordecai the Jew was a graceful king. He was a great man among the Jews, found favor with the Roman and his brethren. He sought the good of his people and was concerned for the welfare of his prosperity.
It says the Dover Shalom, speaking peace to all of his children.
Well,
that's a Dover Shalom l'chol zaroi, speaking peace to all of his children. What does that mean? Maybe he had some children who were not Haredi, Maddie. Could be. Maybe some of his children were not Haredi. But he spoke peace to all of his children. Even though maybe they went off the derech. Doive shalom l'chol zaroi. You have to be at peace with all of your relatives and all of Jews. That's where you find God. That's why God's name is Shalom. Right? We are not supposed to judge any other Jew. The Mishnah says, Al todnus chaveira tzugil m'komo. Don't judge anybody until you what? Walk in his shoes. The Mishnah Nova says, you can't judge anybody unless you walk in his shoes. You ever walk in anybody's shoes? Huh? Right? Only God can judge. We're supposed to look only in the good in our fellow Jews. And that's why it made Mordechai so special. He was doive shalom l'chol zaroi. He saw the good in every single Jew. And therefore he was such a great Jew. Because every Jew is special. Every Jew is special. Pretty amazing. The first message, how do we know every Jew is special? I'm glad you asked. David, how do we know every Jew is special? David, how do we know? I'm glad you asked. Exodus 4. The first message, how does God announce himself to the UN? To the EU. His first message, Paro was the leader of the world at the time, right? God says, Moses, first message, B'ni b'choiri Yisrael. My child, my firstborn is Israel. Now what does that mean? A person can have 22 children, but they can only be what? Only firstborn. The firstborn is special. So God, Exodus 4, first message how God pronounces himself to the universe. You know who I am? B'ni b'choiri Yisrael. My child, Israel is not just my child, but every Jew is my firstborn. And a firstborn is special. We're supposed to emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu to see only the good in every Jew. Not to look for his what? Negative traits, but to focus on what? Right? The Baal Shem Tov says the only person you can change is yourself. So what good is to look at someone's negative qualities? Right? You're supposed to look at your own negative qualities and at someone else's positive qualities. We do Moshe Kapoya, right? But the Baal Shem Tov said Judaism teaches in yourself you're supposed to see the negative qualities and your friend only the positive qualities. Because you can only change yourself. So the Megillah, we're all writing our own Megillah. Avi, you read the Megillah in 45 minutes, right? Maybe 50 minutes. We forget from the opening chapter until Haman is safely swinging from the yardstick, it's 9 years. Maddie, it's 9 years, not 45 minutes. 9 years it plays out. It looks like a string of coinky dinkies, Avram. Esther happened to win the beauty contest. Was she the prettiest girl? Maybe Miss Italy was more pretty, right? Talmud says she wasn't that pretty, she wasn't that young either. A Beis Yaakov Mädel. She has to win the international beauty contest.
Share.
Right? She had no idea. Why did she win? Years later, only years later, it became apparent that what? That she had to win in order to save the Jewish people. But that took place 7 years later. 7 years later. We have to connect the dots, Avi. Mordechai happened to walk by when Biksham and Seresh were plotting. Why couldn't he walk by sooner or later? Why Dafka? The Megillah looks like a string of coinky-dinkies. But that's the mask. Peekaboo. Don't be fooled by the mask. God says take the mask off. We're all wearing a mask. What's our mask foil? My body is my mask. That's not really me. I'm a godly soul. I'm a soul, man. My soul is masquerading for 120 years inside my bodysuit. But don't confuse me with my mask. So God is wearing a mask called nature, Teva. We're wearing a mask. The Zohar HaKodesh says when we die, our mask comes off and his mask comes off. Then there's no need to play anymore. Therefore, this is called Olam HaSheker. David, this is called Olam HaSheker. It's all an illusion. It's a Mardi Gras, masquerade. After 120, it's called Olam HaEmet. Why is it called Olam HaEmet? Why? Because the mask comes off. My mask and his. No more games. No more games. That's not being in a hurry to get there. No, we got a lot to stick around here with the mask. But we have to realize that ultimately there's Olam HaSheker. Olam HaEmet, when the mask, my mask comes off my body, the neshama is the godly soul. We're all writing our own Megillah. Do you know that, Raphael? Yes. Every one of us is writing their own Megillah. Whether we know it or not. David, the twists and the turns, right, Moshe? Moshe, your book that you wrote. The book that we're all writing a book like that. What was the name of your book? Just One Jew. Just One Jew. Right, we're all the detours and all the twists and the turns. We are writing our own Megillah, whether we know it or not. And our mission in life, Avi, is not to be fooled by the masquerade. Look behind the mask. What you see is not always what you get. Therefore, God's name is not written even once. That's our mission in life, to see him. How do you say in English? Every Schritt und Tritt. How do you say that in English? In every step. In every step you have to see him. Don't be fooled by the Purim masquerade. Megillat Esther means Avram legalot et Hester. Legalot means what? To reveal the hidden one. To reveal the one who's hiding behind the mask. And therefore Purim is such a great yonta. Yes, Michael?
Yeah.
I'm all ears. Fire away.
That's why now today Jews in America are hiding behind their masks instead of seeking to come to Israel.
Wow, you know what Michael said? The Jews, they're hiding behind their mask. They think that the goy won't find them. If I just act goyish enough, right, and play along with them like the Jewish Democrats, crazy. The Jewish Democrats, how are they kissing up to these anti-Semitic congressmen? It's sickening. J Street, and if not now when, these Jewish organizations are defending these anti-Semitic congresswomen. They're defending them. Does it make any sense? They think that the mask of assimilation will save them. But it won't save them. In Germany, the Jews also thought if they assimilate and wear the mask, certain Jews on the way to Auschwitz from Germany wore their Iron Cross medals from World War I. They wore the Iron Cross to Auschwitz.
You saw my play, right? The play I was in?
That's right. You played that guy.
I played that self-hating Jew.
Right.
And I was the one who was shot for...
Right. Did I get your autograph then? I forgot.
Did you like it?
Yes. It was in a play, huh? Not too late. Huh?
At the Common.
Where?
The Common.
That's like the Broadway of Jerusalem. That's right.
You can spend days on the Megillah. All of life is in the Megillah. Let's go to the beginning. Chaval, I wish I had a book. No more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to pass?
I was following. I couldn't write and read.
Megillah 1, verse 12. Megillah 1, verse 12. Vatemoin hamalka Vashti lavo. So the king is in a drunken stupor, and he sends for Vashti to come wearing only her birthday suit. It says she should come only wearing Beketa Malchut. That's what it says. Look at verse 11, Avram. Chapter 1, verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen in front of the king to wear only Keter Malchut. The only thing that she should be wearing is what? Her crown. And the rest, her birthday suit. She refused to come. Well, she's such a tzenua.
Yeah, what?
Now, why would she refuse to come? What is she? I mean, she's run around Sue. I mean, run around Sue. She's what's her name? Madonna Plus. All of a sudden, I want to talk reality, not agada. Why did she refuse? It doesn't make no sense, David. She said, yeah, right on, Kingy. I'm coming.
I heard she got a rash.
Okay, I want to go with push it shot. Push it. How do you say? I'm a text man, Moshe. I'm a text man. You just came to hear this. Vatamoyin Hamalki Vashti Lavo Psik. Queen Vashti refused to come. Why did she refuse to come? Bidvar HaMelech. Bidvar HaMelech with the Heya Yidiyah, because the King of Kings put a bee in a bonnet. All of a sudden she became what? Miss Modesty. Bidvar HaMelech, that's how she refused to come. Look at the text. The Talmud says, wherever it says the word HaMelech, it's referring to what? The King of Kings. Vatamoina Malki Vashti Lavo Psik. Vashti refused to come. It doesn't make no sense. Why? Bidvar HaMelech. Bidvar HaMelech. Whatever happens, it's the King of Kings pulling the strings. Right. He put the bee in her bonnet. Gee, today I don't feel like dancing in front of the men there. I don't feel like it today. Bidvar HaMelech. To get her out of the way, in order to get what? Esther in place to be a savior of the Jewish people. It's all Bidvar HaMelech, but looks like a winky dinkies, Chanoch. It's Bidvar HaMelech with the extra hay. God is pulling our strings. He knows how to play us. Bidvar HaMelech. Moshe, you like that? Otherwise, why did she become all of a sudden Miss Beis Yaakov Meidel? She's a playgirl. She's one of the, what's it called? Miss...
what's the source of that?
Miss...
what's the source that she was playgirl?
The Talmud says that she was very immoral.
Where?
The Talmud in Megillah, page 12, 13, that she was very immoral. Look, she was married to him. Could she be a... Yeah. So all of a sudden she became a... What? A Beis Rivka girl. She refused to come. Bidvar HaMelech. It's all decreed by the big boss. He pulls the strings in order to get her out of the way. To put... But Esther had no idea. Why did she win the beauty contest? She didn't know that 7 years later she'd be... 7 years she wondered, what am I doing here? But later on, looking back, Raphael, we connect the dots, but looking back. Looking back. We're all writing our own Megillah, whether we know it or not. We're writing our own Megillah. Now, replacement theology. The Catholics didn't invent it. Replacement theology was invented by Achashverosh. B'Shushan Habira. He called his capital city Habira. Where do you find that word, Yehuda? I'm glad you asked. In Divrei Hayamim, Perik Chavtes, David is Mispalel. V'Lishloima Bani Ten Livnot Habira. In the book of Chronicles, chapter 29, the word Habira, with an extra hay, refers to the what? To the Holy Temple. Achashverosh put on the big day kahuna, right? Avram masqueraded. Another reason we put on masquerade. He masqueraded as the high priest, and he made his palace, he called it Habira. I'm your new high priest, and my palace is the new Beis Hamikdash. The word Habira with the extra hay, look at Chronicles 29, verse 19. King David refers to the Beis Hamikdash Habira.
And he was counting time, too.
So this is all replacement theology. I'm your new high priest. My palace is the new temple, Jews. Forget about it. replacement theology. And it's amazing, if you look at the Megillah, the Beis HaMikdash had an outer court and an inner court. His palace had Chotzra Pnimi, right, an outer court, an inner court, and anyone who comes into the inner court without being announced gets killed. You have that, the Kohen Gadol. Anybody walks into the Holy of Holies, except the Kohen Gadol, it's all replacement theology. The inner court and the outer court.
And he was very aware at time, how much time
That's right.
before
Right.
the Jews were supposed to
The
be
Chotzah
saved.
Pnimit, the inner and the outer, the whole thing over here. But the Jewish people still didn't get the message, even after the great miracle of Purim. Hello? Some people just don't get it. They still didn't come to Pisgat Zev. To Israel. They remained in Babylon, Long Island. They still remained. That's why Mashiach didn't come after the Purim miracle, even though they all became BT. And therefore you don't say Hallel, because they refused to. Even Mordechai himself remained. And Esther. There's a kever today in Shushan. My wife was there. Her father took her when she was a little girl. In Shushan, the kever Mordechai and Esther. Wow. It's called Hamadan today. It's called Hamadan. And the Persians, they have great respect for it. So even Mordechai and Esther, well, Esther couldn't. She was trapped. But even Mordechai remained. Right? He became what? He became Jason Greenblatt. What? He became like... So the message of the Megillah, and that's why God's name, like Mickey said, is not there. Because God says, what's with you guys? What are you still doing in Persia, in Babylon? If you want to find God, it's only in Eretz Yisrael. And God keeps sending so many messages, that what? And some people just don't get it until it's never too late. Until never it's too late. Rav Kaduri said a few years ago, Rav Kaduri, the great the Jews of America should come now when they still are able to take their wealth with them. Because if they wait too long, they will be forced to come without their possessions. Rav Kaduri said that. And you see the side, never did you have open congressmen spewing such anti-Semitic rhetoric, and then no consequences. You never had that.
And you have some of the Jewish congressmen trying to bring down the government.
Trying to what? Right?
Trying to bring down the government and trying.
So unfortunately, we should wake up before it's too late.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.